Anyways, I have seen a lot of ridiculous court cases. I'm pretty sure we all remember last year the trial with Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, and how they brought on like a witness that was like driving in his car while vaping, and it caused Johnny Depp to basically just start laughing in the court.
So the incident was May 21st, 2016.
Yes. I'm not gonna say no because she was really always nice.
All right, this is my last.
Be nice.
But this case, somehow, it's even worse. So you may have heard of Young Thug. His real name is Jeffrey Lamar Williams. He's basically a rapper, songwriter. He started off in 2011 with a series of mixtapes called I Came From Nothing. Now, all the way back in 2020, he was basically accused of co-founding a gang and then using his music to promote the gang. And then he was arrested in May 2022. Now, Young Thug doesn't just have 1 or 2 charges. He has pretty much every single charge that the government can throw at you. So like I said, he was indicted the first time back in May 2022. If you don't know what indicting means, it's that thing that you can do in Dark Souls when you don't like the player that killed you. But then he got hit with a second report, and that was for him and 27 other members. And basically the government was trying to say that Young Thug and his crew were trying to violate Georgia's Racketeering, Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, which in of itself is basically a RICO, the thing that you keep hearing in Sopranos. And then on top of that as well, he got hit with charges of street gang activity, selling drugs, selling guns. So they're basically trying to say that Young Thug and 2 other people formed a gang called Young Slime Life, or YSL, which is an acronym that Young Thug does refer to quite a lot in social media and in his songs. So like I said, the case against Young Thug is very, very thick. I mean, even back in 2015, he basically threatened to shoot a mall security guard that was telling him to like leave the property. Now, the reason why I'm telling you all of this is because he has started to defend himself in court, or more, his lawyers have tried to defend him, and the copes and loopholes that they have came up with to try to exonerate him of all charges, it's beautiful. They have not tried to compromise at any point, and they're basically saying that Young Thug and all of his crew are innocent on all charges. Firstly, that YSL, that Young Slime Life, they've basically tried to say that it has nothing to do with the actual gang. It's just a record label. Now, I really, really do feel sorry for Young Thug's legal team, because the feds, to try to basically convict him, they're trying to show in his lyrics that he was promoting a gang for racketeering. So the lawyer, this poor man, basically has the job of trying to watch a music video by Young Thug and then interpret the lyrics and turn it into the least sinister way possible. So I want you to just imagine the scene, right? It is like the final episode of Better Call Saul. Spoilers if you haven't seen it. Saul is sat there, it's black and white, he is trying to defend himself, and there is like 9-10 federal agents, people trying to get him on RICO charges, and they have him dead to rights. But instead of Saul Goodman sat there in the seat, a silver-tongued devil who could basically get a quarter of his sentence by throwing other people under the bus, it's Young Thug, and then Young Thug's lawyer. So here we have a god-tier example of Young Thug's legal defense. They're basically trying to interpret anything that happens and turn it into the most positive thing possible.
It's January 16, 2022, and Jeffrey releases this. It's on Jeffrey's Instagram account, and the prosecution is targeting, that's Jeffrey taking a selfie in the mirror, and he has his hand up, and the indictment that the prosecution had the grand jury return says he's holding up a blood sign. And that...
So for context, if you don't know, Bloods is obviously one of the gangs that operates in America. YSL was basically meant to be part of the Bloods. Basically, the prosecution is trying to say that he's throwing up gang signs. He's part of a gang. This racketeering is legitimate.
Or there's this conspiracy. There's nothing wrong with holding up a blood sign. But...
Okay. Nothing wrong with a gang sign. All right. I mean, it's not illegal. There are connotations with it, but fair. It's not illegal.
That's not a blood sign. A blood sign is like this. It looks like a B. That is a P. Jeffrey's finger.
So he can tell from this very small image that that is actually not a blood sign. That is a P. He's holding a P. By the way, if you are wondering what a blood sign looks like, you know, here's some examples. Maybe not that accurate, but obviously like a lot of the gangs would have like, you know, different hand signs that they throw. But he's now trying to say that that isn't a blood sign. It's actually P, like pushing P.
Fingers are down. And what you'll learn is that Jeffrey just released with Sergio Kitchens, performer known as Gunna, a song that is wildly popular.
Okay.
It's around the globe. It's called Pushing P. And it's
Pushing P? Okay.
positivity. It means
Oh, it's positivity. Pushing positivity. I actually get it now. I get it now. Okay. Despite the fact that most of the rap world knows the definition of pushing P is basically keeping integrity while maintaining your success. I really do love that lawyer, man. Like how can he be part of a racketeering ring if he's pushing positivity? So here you have the actual identity of the lawyer. I feel really sorry for him because honestly, after this trial, I think his career will be well and truly over. But he basically tries to, you know, defend Young Thug at every single turn, making it out that he's a philanthropist. He's not part of a gang. He's a nice guy.
so Jeffrey wanted to have a performing name. So he looked to Tupac. You will learn that in 1983, the incomparable talent Michael Jackson released a song that went around the globe, P.Y.T., Pretty Young Thing. About 13 years later, Tupac is featured on a song with Smooth. And that song is P.Y.T., Playa, P-L-A-Y-A, Young Thugs.
So you can really tell they're not even trying to disprove any of the racketeering charges. They're just trying to make the image of Young Thug being this sweet little daisy that wouldn't hurt a fly. Also, I'm convinced that this lawyer is speaking as slowly as he can, so he puts everyone at the stand to sleep before they can actually throw out any charges.
And help his family, himself, and as many others out of this endless cycle of hopelessness. He would be truly humble under God. That's what thug means.
Okay, so you could really see the God tier coping we've reached now. So Young Thug being an acronym for truly humble under God. So yeah, he's basically hoping that, you know, everyone in the courtroom is like a God-fearing Christian and they'll be like, oh, he's one of us. He's one of us. He can do no wrong. Innocent on all charges. And also, remember the pushing P thing, like pushing positivity? Well, that actually came from a song with Young Thug, but it also had Future and Gunna. And then in a tweet himself, Gunna actually said that pushing P basically means, you know, keeping it real. And he also goes on to say that being loyal is definitely P. Now, Gunna himself also has his own trial going on at the minute, but what he's done is entered a plea deal. So he can still maintain his innocence now, he can still do, you know, tours and stuff, but he can later be tried if they find new evidence. Now, he actually was found guilty on one charge of racketeering, but, you know, served his time and he's out now. Now, what the prosecution's trying to do is basically say, you know, like I mentioned earlier, that a lot of these song lyrics that he'd use in songs were actually, you know, code words and talking about gangs and racketeering. But then they've tried to counter that by basically saying, if you're criticizing us for talking about stuff like that, you're basically criticizing free speech itself. Now, Young Thug is definitely not the first person to be criticized over their lyrics and it being used against them in court. I mean, you got people like Drakeo the Ruler, Bobby Shmurda, 6ix9ine, Boozy, and a lot of rappers, including Jay-Z, actually came together to try and get a bill passed. This bill that was going to get passed in New York would basically mean that rappers, their lyrics couldn't be used against them on trial. But honestly, the trial could go either way. I just love how this lawyer is coping to the highest degree. Pushing P, pushing positivity. Young Slime Life, the guy just likes slimes. He probably watches Slimesicle.